I'm Nancy.
And I'm Amelia.
Welcome to the Carfrae podcast.
So last time we delved into a bit the reason to have the whole point of a purpose, mission, and vision statement. So that was our second episode in our Tell a Story series. We first looked at the USP, and then we went into how you start your basis for a communication strategy: purpose, mission, vision, dressing up your USP, putting it into context, why it matters, why your work is important to you.
And it seems to me that that's really something that everybody needs to have.
Absolutely.
We need to know what our USP is, and we need to be able to say our USP in the framework of a purpose and a mission and a vision.
Yes, It's one of those things where if I'm on a website looking up, whether it be a company or an organization, I expect to find them. And I think they're very important to understand the work that's being done. If you throw a lot of data at me, or all I can find are your list of members, I'm lost. I don't know what your USP is. I will know what your USP is based on a good purpose, mission, and vision statement.
There's something else I really like to see on a website, and it's actually, shall I say it, it's a bit of a warm-up act to all the rest of the purpose, mission, vision. That's an SDG statement.
Right. Very topical.
A SIG.
A SIG.
A SIG. SDG. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. SDGs.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, agreed. I think that if you're an organization and you need to have an SDG statement, it just makes sense.
And why? Well, I'm going to come back to a basic here one too. We're talking here to the associations world, to organizations. Now, an association, by whatever definition, is a group of people working together on a common cause.
Yes.
Right? Working together is our defining characteristic as associations, as organizations. And specifically now, working together within the framework of something even bigger, of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs.
Yeah.
I am always going to abbreviate that now. Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, but I will not say it 3 times fast. SDGs. Don't do that. Make sure that people know what you're talking about.
But indeed, add it to your list of acronyms along with USP.
Right. SDGs, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. What are they? What are the UN SDGs? Well, it's a set of 17 goals. They were defined and adopted by the United Nations member states. That kind of means all of us, right? I
don't know. I mean, I have a cousin who lives in Vatican City, and
they're observers. Okay, right. A universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and improve the lives and prospects of everyone, everywhere. Are you on board? I'm on board. Okay.
Which, for the record, those of you who tuned in last time, it's a vision right there.
Yes.
We have a vision for the future.
They define sustainable development, because that too is one of those terms where people can differ. Sustainable development, according to the UN in this context, is meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
Yeah.
All right. Very relevant right here, sitting here with 2 generations at the table. I want my needs met, but I need to make sure that her needs are met.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's in that sense, I think it's a very good definition.
Okay. Now, the SDGs are part of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. They're the successor to the Millennium Development Goals, the MDGs, that were in place from 2000 to 2015.
Yes. And in that alone, the SDGs have already exceeded the Millennium Development Goals in terms of how much we know about them, how understood they are.
It's all a process. Yeah. The SDGs were launched on the 1st of January 2016, and they apply until 2030. Right. So we're already well on our way.
Okay. But we're also going to be dealing with them for another decade.
Yes.
So the time is now. Okay.
The implementation of the SDGs is in the hands of our countries, our governments. national policies, national plans, programs. It's also in our hands as citizens. This is really just about the first time that it's such a general call. What was it that? The lives and prospects of everyone, everywhere. It's a universal call. It's not just to your governments. It's to me. It's to you. They're being monitored so we can see how close are we getting to achieving these goals. There is a United Nations agency that's monitoring this internationally. And nationally, in your own area, governments can or are expected to set up their own monitoring agencies to see what they're doing.
Yeah. Now, the UN is international, not supranational. So the SDGs are not legally binding.
No, they're not. They're not.
But they are a very, very good framework.
Okay. So what did I say? There were 17 goals. Okay. You'll be familiar with the logos possibly. Those 17 goals are broken down into 169 targets. Okay. And those targets cover the 3 dimensions of sustainable development: economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Okay. So right away we can see you've got 3 dimensions of sustainable development: economics, social inclusion, environment, 17 goals, 169 targets.
I do seem to remember last podcast we promised that these terms would be coming back, and
yes, we did.
Here they are.
Here they are.
And indeed, 169 targets, because we're talking about a lot of work.
Right.
And it's one of the lessons that the United Nations really did take from evaluating the Millennium Development Goals, is that they needed to be more concrete, more specific, to really break it down.
They are. Yeah. So if you're looking at the logos of these 17 goals, you'll see that they're short titles, a couple of words. They're really, in some cases, too short to understand fully what is covered.
Almost misleading.
You'll find a longer title.
Yeah.
You'll also find sub-goals.
Yeah.
And within each goal also there are indicators, the measurables, the statistics, what can be monitored, in other words. And then the 169 targets spread over the 17 goals as well.
Yeah, indeed.
You do, in order to use the SDG framework, we really do need to dive down a bit deeper than just looking at the logos. We need to study. Yes. It's about 20 pages of reading to do it all.
It is.
Okay.
But you can skim it.
20 pages isn't, there's some things paragraphs that I've never read. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, indeed, there will obviously be topics which are completely unrelated to the work you're doing.
Right.
But you might be surprised as well at finding how they tie together. Once again, one of the lessons learned from the Millennium Development Goals was indeed not only having the more measurable targets, the indicators, how do you know the work you're doing is working,
yes,
but also how it all crosses over, how it ties together.
So why should you bother reading even some of those 20 pages, right?
It's a good question.
There's a really simple answer. There is
no planet B.
We're all in this together. The SDGs are not pulled out of thin air. We are all concerned about our future.
Hopefully.
The SDGs are a roadmap to get us there. See, sustainability it's not just a policy. It's definitely not a buzzword. It is a universal challenge, if I may say, and it belongs to all of us, right? So we should all be working on it anyway, with or without a UN plan, with or without an association or an organization or other people, because even UN skeptics may have grandchildren.
Very true.
Or they may have a pension that they want to collect, so they do need a future generation who's out there working.
Pensions. That's a...
Hey, millennial? Okay, right.
What's that? Do I get one?
Okay, boomer. So we should all be concerned with the SDGs, but why in particular should organizations be concerned about the SDGs?
Indeed. Yes. Why is this something we think that every organization should have an SDG statement?
That's what particularly is saying here. Well, I think that there are 3 very particular contributions that organizations can make. Okay, the first one is in the field of advocacy.
Right.
Organization, why do we have an organization? Why do we have an association? Because we already have a very strong sense of community, of working together for a common cause.
Right. And achieving the SDGs depends on us working together, depends on a community effort.
Indeed, it depends on having that very strong sense of community at which organizations excel or we wouldn't exist.
Yes.
The second one, advocacy, mobilization. Volunteering is enshrined in associations, in organizations. We are so well equipped and experienced in mobilizing our community,
Yes.
just in building it, but in mobilizing it. We are better than almost any other actor, such as the government, for instance.
Definitely better than most governments.
Okay. And achieving the SDGs really depends on mobilizing all of our world's resources.
Yes.
So there we go. Organizations are well placed because we already have that sense of community and we're really good at mobilizing it.
In many cases, too, organizations have feet on the ground and have the trust of people that in some cases governments don't have. And that really does help with mobilizing and also advocating. For advocacy as well, you need to be trusted, a trusted source. And so this is indeed very important. So what's the third reason?
The third point, advocacy, mobilization, and sharing. Organizations, again, are by definition partnerships. Okay,
right.
Within your organization with others. We are so used to working with others, whether it be my members, whether it be partners, membership structures, joint projects. We know all about partnerships. And achieving the SDGs depends on a willingness to share, to partner.
Right.
To not stay in my own little corner and think, I've got it, I'm okay. But really to open up and be there with other people.
Yeah. Absolutely.